Light as a feather, stiff as a board. 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 It's working. Welcome back, guys. Whoop, whoop. All right. How many of y'all watched Sabrina? The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That is nothing like what you thought it was gonna be in the last one. Like, oh my god. So, disclaimer. I might do, I don't know, some like spoilers. If you haven't actually seen it, watch it. I'm gonna talk to you about what I think is also the most important thing to talk about first. Number one, not all witches are satanic. How many people are like in history that you've read about where like they were just being like, you know, terrorized for their beliefs, or people just assume, I don't like what you're doing and it seems evil and satanic, and they're just like out to get them. So I just wanted to put up there because I've actually made I make friends of all religions. So you will see me in a Jewish synagogue as quickly as you see me in a Hindu temple, in a Catholic church. I don't really care. I care about people's intentions. So if your intentions are to do good in the world, that's all I care about. If your intentions are to be neutral, just not bother people, that's cool. I have an issue with people who have bad intentions, like I'm going to cause harm to another person, and you don't really, those are the people I don't really like to mess with, because I'm just more or less like, so you just like causing problems because you're miserable. So yeah, I do want to kind of just mention the fact that from a couple of my pagan friends who had explained to me that there's different types of witches. There's white witches, there's gray, there's black, and apparently there's blue. When they were telling me this, I was like, oh my god, y'all are like a Final Fantasy game. There's a blue mage in the game. They called me a dork, but that's not the point. But yeah, there's actually different witches. There's actually Christian witches. I'm not sure how everything works. I don't think everyone has an altar. I did a lot of reading, but I just wanted to like put it out there, the fact that witchcraft has been around, or rather being a pagan has been around for like a very long time, like many religions. So if you're against witchcraft and you see someone you think they're like a pagan, leave them alone. Which is weird, because most people who hate witches, they're like, they're evil, because they're scared of them. And I'm like, if you're scared of the witch casting something on you, why would you aggravate her? It's just a theory. It's the same thing like if I saw some dude who was like, man, I don't like that dude. Man, I should go beat him up. Yeah, because I don't like him. I'm afraid he's going to do something to me. I should do something first. That makes sense. Yeah, like, calm it down. So that's my number one thing that I did want to mention. Satanism is a religion. I don't know anything about that. I've only met like one. So I don't want anyone who is a Satanist who happens to be coming across this video being like, hey, we're not all like that. I just need to make sure that you're not an asshole. Like, that's really all I care about. So I don't really have any friends. I'm not saying I'm like discriminating or anything like that, but I just usually don't roll in that general direction. But I just want to point out the fact not all witches are satanic, and not all of them do black magic. So yeah, that's my number one thing. Number two, the characters. Ambrose, I love you. So let me sum up the characters. Harvey is clueless. I just don't understand, but to me, he comes off as like a clueless, typical teenage boy who's like, I like you. Me male, you female, I pick. Me likey. And then like he just like, that's the end of it. I feel like Harvey doesn't like think much on anything. It's just more or less like, me thinky. No, there's too many thoughts. Emotions. That's really what I feel like. Now, as for her friends, the two chicks on the side, I think they're absolutely fantastic, and I like how their storyline builds up. Her friends are like sassy. I thought it was interesting that their club was actually Wicca, which I thought was kind of cool. You know, she's all like, no, we should be allowed to read whatever books we want to read, because I would be like her friend, like, what, you banned what book? I will read it. You're talking to the girl who, in case if anyone didn't know, at my high school, for anyone who's from my high school will now know where this story comes in. Every time the handbook in our school would change is because I broke a rule, because the rule wasn't really written in the handbook, and then I would challenge the dean because she was like, you're breaking the law, and I was like, that's funny because it's not written down. But yeah, I love the characters. Ambrose is my favorite, like everyone else. I live for Ambrose. Like, it is ridiculous how much I love him. But my only thing with Ambrose is, like, every time you look up.
Oh, for dear sakes, cousin. Why didn't you just cast a spell? Use one of my books. I mean, some of them you're not supposed to be casting, but, you know. I'm sure you'll be fine. But if I tell you no, and I break rules, I think you should listen.
Is it just me? Like, or is he not always doing that, like, all the time? Just sitting in random places?
God, Cousin Sabrina, don't you ever listen? That's the one thing I asked you not to do. And what do? You do it. You do it anyway, right? Just go. Before Aunt Zelda, Hilda. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know he can't go anywhere in the house, but, like, really?
What is it now, Sabrina? I'm trying to astral project. I have a hot date tonight. Yeah, that sounds fine. I'm trying to pretend I can feel a kiss tonight. Thank you. Bye.
So, the best part about Ambrose is the fact that he, like, kind of lets Sabrina do whatever she wants. And he's like the cool cousin who's like, you know, you probably shouldn't do that. You'll make your aunts mad. Or at least one of them. And then the one time he tells her not to do something specifically, she's like, I don't get it. You've let me do everything else but this. Why? Explain yourself. I love Ambrose because he's daring, he's willing to take risks that only affect himself, really, per se. Like, for a hot day, I mean, are you willing to, like, risk your soul and have it devoured and eaten by cute little birdies just to go on a date with someone? I know plenty of people who would. Just because they're like, they hot. I love Ambrose. Hilda's like my second favorite character, and I loved her in Wonder Woman as well. But I think she's absolutely so cool, and she's so loving. But I love how, like, light and warm, like, Hilda is. But then, like, when she turns, like, very dark, that moment gets serious. Like, when she's telling Sabrina, like, oh, you know, I mean, like, you know, I don't have any regrets, but every now and then, like, I look at the forest and I picture myself walking through it with a torch and, you know, just torching it down, you know, with so much kindling. Oh, have a good night, darling. Like, it's just, like, it's quick, and you're like, yo, Aunt Hilda, you okay? Like, so I love Hilda for that. I love the duality of her relationship with her sister. So when they show, like, Hilda's relationship, yeah, I'm scratching my boob, deal with it. So when they show Hilda with Zelda, it's more or less like this dark battle of, like, wow, it's like black mage versus white mage. Yeah, I'm going Final Fantasy terms. It's like seeing these two mages, like, heal, and Zelda's like, nah, fire! And, like, you know, Hilda's more or less like, no, we have to kill it with kindness. And, you know, Zelda's like, we'll just kill it. How about that? I love how dark their relationship is, because you really get to feel it out during the episode when Sabrina releases the sleep demon. So when Sabrina releases the sleep demon, it's not what you would expect for everyone's nightmare. So Ambrose's nightmare, you're like watching, it has a lot of symbolism, and you're like, okay, wow, like, okay, he's sort of in dealing with the stuff that he has to deal with from himself. Okay, totally deep, got it. Then you see Sabrina thinking about the fact, like, oh no, my boyfriend's a witch hunter. What if he finds out and he kills me? No! Okay, realistic fears. Hilda and Zelda had the most realistic relationship battle that you will ever see on Netflix. Like, it was intense, because Hilda's nightmare, she's genuinely living her nightmare, which is being with her sister. Hilda, don't do that either. She's afraid of being with her sister because of how toxic that relationship is. When they go over to the academy and Sabrina's being harrowed by Prudence and the Weird Sisters, she's sitting there going, don't worry, I know the one thing, you know, she's talking to the spirits, she's like, I know the one thing you would want is just sometimes revenge. And Zelda starts to get an idea of how terrible, how crappy, how horrible of a human being, witch being, whatever. She's a horrible sister. And you start to see it really kind of sitting into her head. And so when you see that, like, episode where she's dealing with the sleep demon, Zelda's nightmare is Hilda dying, officially. Dark Lord, what am I going to do with them? So it's so strange. You're like, you killed her, like, in the first episode. Like, what happened? You were like, like, I don't like what you said. Prank. Like, that was the end of it. You're like, yo, how many people could you kill that pissed you off? And you're like, yeah, it's gonna come back. It's gonna bury them back in the family grave. It's cool. It's so dark, and it's an element that I'm looking forward to, that I'm like really exploring like in the next season, because I just want to know, like, where is this all coming from? Why is Zelda like this? No, Sabrina, don't do that. Hilda, no. Okay, so you, and you, none of you do that. Do you hear me? You have to pay for school, okay? You have to learn your dark arts, and you. How dare you tell her that you want to burn down the forest with so much kindling? I have to talk with you. I'll see you at your grave. Tell me more about the parents, you know, because, you know, there's Edward and then there's Hilda and Zelda, and it's just like, I want to see more about this. And the fact that it's very consistent in the Sabrina, the witch, like story in the comics, as well as the other show as well. Twins are very much in common. So I'm trying to figure out, is Zelda and Hilda supposed to be like each other's twin? Is that why one's so good and one's so evil? Or could you imagine an evil Hilda that does go into that forest with so much kindling? What now, Sabrina? The High Priestess is here? Oh God, I look drab. The other character that I obviously do want to talk about is the main girl, Sabrina. Sabrina girl, we gotta have a talk. I just don't understand, like, how do you not know what's going on with Madam Satan?
Sabrina.
Like, I feel like your witch senses, like your sixth eye or whatever, a third eye, whatever, sixth sense, whatever is happening, I feel like you should know, like, something?
I don't know, Ambrose. It feels like every time I do something, I think I'm gonna fix this problem, then another problem gets worse, and it's just... Sometimes I just feel like I'm being watched. I don't even know why.
Oh, Sabrina. I always take long walks in the park.
And it's just weird. So I don't understand, like, how you're like, I'm gonna do this. Sabrina is straight up hard-headed. She goes super dark. I mean, dark. Like, dark enough to be like, you're going to threaten and try to kill someone I love? I will have your throat. And, like, it's just like, whoa, I would not mess with this chick. Sabrina goes through like a lot of like issues because she understands where her powers and magic is coming from, but she doesn't want to give up her soul. So I think it's an interesting aspect, and I'm wondering if they're going to use that as a way to introduce the fact that there are white witches. Maybe there are witches who don't get their powers from the Dark Lord. It's just something I'm just curious about, because I just thought it was interesting that she was baptized first, and now that she signed her book in the Beast. So I'm also trying to figure out what they're going to do, because there has to be a battle for her soul. And does that mean that they're going to go down the supernatural route where like angels pop up like, yo, what's up, son? She was baptized. And you see like Sam and Dean in the back going, salt and burn, salt and burn, salt and burn. So Sabrina, she has these cool elements to her where she's really overthinking every little thing that she's doing, until she becomes frazzled, and it's like very easy to make her emotionally distracted, which is why I think Madam Satan is always sort of like, if you do a lot of reading, you'll figure out very easy in the beginning, like, oh, she's Lilith, that's who she's supposed to be. And she's not like the Lilith from Supernatural. She's just straight up like evil, like incarnate, and I love it because she's like literally motherly like the whole time she's doing it. And it blows my mind that every time Sabrina's like, I have a problem, I have a complete problem, I don't know how to solve it. And Madam Satan is, in her own way, being evil by telling Sabrina what she wants to actually hear. Like, oh, I heard he's terrified of spiders. Like, who says that, like, in passing? Like, I gotta do that to somebody, like, just talking to them, like, did you know that they're terrified of frogs? You know what I mean? Like, who does that? Sabrina gets so strung up and high off of her mortal life that she makes these terrible decisions, and she goes from being logical to just running on mortal brain, where she's literally just making these dumb decisions. I feel like when she's full witch mode, she knows what she's doing. She's like, I got this. hellfire, and you're like, whoa, okay, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to, I'm sorry, I was just playing when I cornered your friends, I'm sorry, I was just playing. But like it's very interesting. And the other character that I love is Madam Satan. I think she's a lot of fun. I really think she's a lot of fun. I just like the fact that every time Sabrina's like, I have a problem, I don't know how to solve it, she's got her mortal brain running her mouth, and then Madam Satan's sort of less. Don't lie, she looks at that in every single scene like, yeah, Brina, I got this spell for you. It's kind of cool because Madam Satan has to protect her and yet guide her at the same time, like you would do, like a mother would take their child under their wing. She's so slick. The high priest, yo, that dude's got some problems. Like when they blurted out the truth spell, and he was like telling everything, and his wife was like, oh, really? Like, how many girls have you been with? And you're like, oh shoot, Prudence is his daughter, which made sense to me because I was a little suspicious of it because I saw the wife. And then I saw him. I actually thought the wife was Prudence's mom because it didn't make sense why he kept having these private conversations with her. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's his kid. It made sense to me until it was just like, no, you had a different mom, but she wanted me to marry her and stuff like that. And the wife's like, what? Like, yeah, like it gets serious. I also love the Weird Sisters. I like the fact that they're there as supporting characters to another supporting character, and they have like this cool connection between each other. But they're straight up evil, like playing with the rods, bang, 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 and you're just like, man, I'd hate to be Harvey. I like how they introduced the familiars. Speaking of familiars, Salem. So I know a lot of people are like, Salem didn't talk. This is not the other show. So I'm not expecting Salem to talk in his cat form. And I kind of like the fact that he only speaks in his goblin. I know he's supposed to be a goblin, but I don't think he's a goblin. I think he's supposed to be something else, which I think is kind of cool. I love Salem. I like the fact that he's on a couch, like basically like, you know, filing his nails, like, and he's like, ah! She's running through, the scarecrow's like chasing her and stuff, and he's just like, okay, and then like walks off to go save her. I love that scene when you see because that scene looked really creepy to see like the scarecrow, like the way it was moving, coming through the haystack. If anyone was going apple picking after watching that episode, you probably didn't go. You were like, nah, I'm just gonna stand outside the orchard, it's cool. Yeah, I'll just wait for you guys right here. Just pick me up some 3 apples. And not the malice, you know, like, like, I feel like that would make you more paranoid to go, like, you know, like, walking through orchards. And I just like the fact that, and then she's like, ¿Qué pasa? And she comes out, like, creeping out, like, what happened? And then you just see Salem just in there. You know, like she's is so cool about it. And then Harvey, again, he's just like very simple, like male brain in that sense. Like they really simplify men. Like if you wanted the simplest man on this planet, Harvey's the guy. Because he just sees her with the cat and he's like, and she's like, oh, I found him. He's a stray. I guess I'll just take him home. Like at no point does he questions her. It's just like, you never brought that home before. Oh, okay, just put him in a car. You know, like there's no thoughts about it. And I'm like, okay. What I also want to know is, let's see, what other, did I narrow down all the main characters? Oh, I want to know more about Dr. Cerebus because I love Hilda. She is awesome, but I want to know who he is or what he is. And is he Cerebus the way that I think he is? And does he really have the hots for Hilda, or is he just playing? Dun, dun, dun. I also love Nick Scratch, which a lot of people, if you've been watching the reviews, is actually another nickname for the Dark Lord. So I'm trying to figure out if she's supposed to be a lover of the Dark Lord, like in the end, which is why she snaps, Madam Satan snaps her familiar's neck, because you know, you made an honest suggestion. That's what happens when you honest like that. I'm just pointing it out. I just want to know, like, are they going to play along, like, where he's supposed to be sort of seducing her-ish into the dark side, or is Nick Scratch going to be, like, a twin? Is Nick Scratch going to be her other lover, because now she's full witch? You know, now that she has to break up with Harvey, because, you know, Nick can technically take care of himself. Oh, and one more thing I don't appreciate about Sabrina, I don't like the fact that she tells everyone her plans. Like, she's literally the hero with villain tendencies, like, where the villain goes, I'm going to kill you, but first I'm going to tell you my backstory to give you enough time to escape. Like, I feel like that's what Sabrina does every time, and she's opening up her mouth like, I'm gonna go up against the Dark Lord, and everyone's like, so do tell me, how do you plan on doing it? Like, you know, it's so weird, and I'm just more or less like, Brina baby, like, you're not paying attention. Like, everyone's suddenly interested in your secret plan. It's no longer a secret plan if everyone knows what your secret plan. Like, I'm just saying, like, Brina, we need to work on that. We really need to work on that. No, but I'm being serious. Y'all thought it too. Don't even lie. So the other thing that I want to talk about in regards to the show is the storyline. So the storyline does actually tie itself up very nice and neatly towards the end, with Madam Satan finally getting her to put her name in the book by threatening all her human friends. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna manipulate someone, you gotta go forward. Anyone who's trying to be manipulative, y'all need to take notes from Madam Satan, because some of y'all just do it half-ass, and I don't think that's appropriate. I think y'all need to be like Lilith out there. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, put some full work into it, which is exactly the reason why I don't lie, because it's way too much work. I am too lazy to be Madam Satan in life. I am so serious. Like, people just ask me things and I'll just bluntly tell them the truth, and they're just like, you couldn't even like filter it? At least you know where I'm coming from. I'm like Sabrina, except I don't tell all my secret plans. Number 3, the creepy factor of how they put religion in the actual show. What I mean by like the creepy factor of how they put religion in there, it is so creepy. And I mean creepy that I don't care what your religious background is, what you were raised with, what you currently converted to. I don't care about that. It is so creepy how well, I was raised Catholic, so everything that they put in there was literally like very Catholic-like, and it totally twisted my head for a minute. I was like, are you mocking the Catholic religion? I mean, what are you doing? Please don't sue them, because they're a fantastic show. Whoa! Like, it was very creepy where everyone's in there sort of, instead of doing their Hail Marys, they're sort of doing their Hail Dark Lord kind of thing. Or when they're in church, it's like, and also with you. Everyone stands and then they sit down, like they knew their cues to sit and stand. The way that they do their prayers, it was very creepy. Like, especially, maybe because I feel like because I was raised Catholic, maybe that's why I felt like it was so creepy, like, whoa. Instead of like, oh my god, you know, like I accidentally said when I was doing Zelda. I know I said it, I don't care, roll with it. But yeah, like that moment when instead of saying, oh my god, I'd be like, oh, Dark Lord. You know, it was like, it was so creepy, like back and forth, like the way how they're throwing it in there. It immersed you into their world to the point that it's like, holy crap, is this real? Between that and then like the spells, it's so eerie. It's eerie even to pagans, you know, actual witches, who watch the show, who are like, that's kind of creepy. Like, whoever's on set, their consultant knows their stuff. It's very weird. If you ever been to a Catholic church, just once, it's weird. I do think it's unfortunate though, that I think one of the churches or temples of Satan or something like that is supposed to be like suing them, because they're saying, I guess they felt like they were depicting them wrong, and I'm like, they're making witches look bad. Not, but you know, whatever. That I thought was kind of like weird, the fact that they were suing them, I guess for about like the statue, like how it looks and how it bleeds and stuff like that. But I've seen that like nearly in every horror film when Satan's coming through to the world and like Mother Mary like cries blood or something, and someone's like, no, it's happening! And I haven't really heard of any churches or the Vatican or the Pope going, that is a terrible movie, banish it! So I just... It's a show. It's not supposed to depict real life. People know that. Are some people impressionable? Yes, but I just don't. I'm not kind of seeing the point on that. On doing that. But yeah, it was creepy. Like, it almost silenced you during those moments of church, in their church, that you just sat there and you were like, yo, like Greendale is real. Number 4, I look cute with my white hair. I'm sorry, that's not a pointer. What I want to talk about is things that I'm looking forward to in the next season. I want to point out, I love the show so much that I actually went back and watched Riverdale. No offense, I know it's the same writer, but I didn't watch Riverdale because it seemed like, I don't know, like too teenagey soap opera, and I wasn't really getting into it. But because of Sabrina, they kept sort of like referencing, and then I started watching reviews, and I was like, wait a minute, there are characters coming from Riverdale? Whoa, now I gotta go. And I ended up watching 2 seasons of Riverdale like in one sitting, which is a lot. Still too soap opera-y for me, because I was thinking that maybe some of the supernatural aspect would be in Riverdale, which I haven't seen yet in the first 2 seasons. Get on it if you want me to keep watching Riverdale. It's not that it's a terrible show. The actors are great. Everyone's great. Everyone's fantastic. Same thing like it's not my style. It was just way too soap opera. There's like 8 to 48 problems in like one episode, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, it's just too much. So with Sabrina, I want to see more development on what Ambrose was doing. Why was he trying to blow up the Vatican? Who's the guy that motivated him to blow up the Vatican? And here's the thing. So I know they're trying to point out, like, I guess how some people perceive witches to be evil and stuff like that. But if a witch was evil, then I don't think blowing up the Vatican would be against the law in their law, which is kind of interesting. That I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, they're not showing like, oh, witches are evil, because they're not. I just said that in the beginning. Don't be judging people no matter what they play to, you know, whether it's a mosque, a temple, or synagogue. I don't care. Leave people alone. Just on this weird like thing where you should just like love people and leave them alone if you don't like them. But be kind to others. It's not that difficult. But yeah, I want to see more of like where Ambrose was like, you know, motivated to do this. I also want to see where his relationship with his boyfriend goes, because when the apocalypse is supposed to really be happening, and you have the 13 witches of Greendale coming back for like, you know, payback. With the Angel of Death just right around the horse, you know, like, you know, Johnny Cash all told us about. It gets kind of like intense. So I want to see more about their relationship, because Ambrose didn't want to be there at the church. He wanted to be there with his own family. I also want to see more things about Salem, because I have my own suspicions that I don't think Salem's just a regular old casual goblin, like, oh, she's calling for a familiar. I guess I'll just go. Bloop, 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 bloop. Because it always seems like things that are happening in your life, which happens in real life, which is also the same as the protagonist, how everybody else knows something that you don't know because nobody says something. You see what happens when you don't communicate with people? I feel like the goblin may know more than what they've given it the opportunity to actually say. So I want to see more of Salem. It's cool like if he would talk, but I feel like I'd rather see him talk in his spiritual form, and I really do like the fact that they sort of separated, because I kind of like the playfulness of walking by an animal and you're like, are you a familiar? Is there a witch nearby? Because he hasn't spoken. You're in your physical form. Like, I kind of like the fact that they keep those universes in a sense kind of separated, because you have your astral form, which they do play with. I will never look at a sparrow the same ever again. Thank you so much, Sabrina. And then they also have your physical form. They play around with like all these like astral planes and stuff. So I think it's absolutely amazing, and I like the fact that it's separate. But I do want to know more about Salem. I also want to know a little bit more about the twin factor, because twins and duality is a very big thing in witchcraft from what I've understood. There's always, and not just in witchcraft, actually in all religion if I really think about it, there's dark, there's light, there's evil, there's good. Even if you think about like subtle things, there's always a duality of nature. So I kind of like the fact that they play around with the twin concept, but I want to know, does she have an actual twin? Is her twin Nick Scratch, or is her evil twin going to show up? Are they gonna, how are they gonna do it? Because Sabrina goes extremely dark, so she has a twin that's the evil version of her. Yo, what is she gonna do? I just want to know, like, is she summoning like genies and stuff and demons from the I also want to know if they're also going to bring other mythological creatures or other creatures from other religions and bring that in. Like, I want to see, are they going to bring in jinns, slash genies? Are they going to bring in like hellhounds? I want to see more of what they're actually going to like bring in for like those, those characters. Are they going to show people who have a genie or something? Because a genie's supposed to be like, I guess, instead of a lamp or whatever, maybe they won't have a lamp, but maybe they'll have something cooler about it. But I just want to know, like, how far is this really gonna go? Because Supernatural's been running for like 80 years and stuff. So I just want to know, like, Supernatural touched base on everything, and I loved every single episode except for one thing in the episode, is when they put Kali in their episode. Not only did they kill her, they made her seem like she was evil. Only complaint! What they're gonna do with Sabrina's friend's abilities. I want to know. I mean, I get that the man girl, whatever, boy girl, whatever. I forgot her. I just freaking forgot her name. But I want to know, like, does she have any other abilities? Because now I'm looking at this like D&D, like this is Final Fantasy. Because we got Sabrina. She's the mage, right? But she's like a black mage. I feel like her friend, the boy girl, one that whose ancestor was the one Dorothy's ancestor, when she like saved all the witches and at least put them down and tried to help them as much as she could. I feel like she would be like the white witch, or she'd be a thief, right? So then we have her other friend who's all psychic and stuff now because she's losing her eyesight. I feel like she'd make a really cool white or gray witch because she now is becoming more psychic because a witch casted a spell on her as a curse. And I'm wondering, does that mean when a witch curses you, does that mean that you suddenly get abilities? Like, do their abilities like linger onto you, that you get other like supernatural abilities, which is kind of cool. You have Harvey, who's kind of like a retarded warrior, but that's really what he is because he's supposed to be like battling witches, but he's friends with witches. I saw the Buffy and Angel thing you guys put in there. Don't think I didn't catch that. So, and then you also have her other aunts that I feel like supposed to be like, you know, the ultimate high level sorceress. You know, they're like, there's so many characters and I'm like, okay, so we got the black mage, the white mage, the thief, the warrior. What are we missing? Like a paladin or a monk? I mean, you can now go on an official party. So I just want to know, like, what kind of journeys and battles and demons and like NMs you guys are going to be battling in the next season. So that's really kind of like my concern. No, but I'm being serious. Like, these are really my thoughts while I'm watching the show. Like, what are they going to be doing? If you haven't seen the show, I apologize for any spoilers that I may have thrown in there. I kind of just did this like off the brim, except for the little skits I put in there. But I do think it's a wonderful show. I think everyone should watch it just because I feel like it'll touch a nerve on someone. I don't care who you are, what your background is. I think it'll hit a nerve on everyone and just make you stop and go, what? And I will give Sabrina more props. Also, she's a lot more mature and not as insane as like the teenagers in comparison to like Riverdale, where they just sort of make, I'm not, let's do this, and they just do something. Like, to me, they don't seem like they have a reason for it. Sabrina seems like she has a reason, whether it's very mortal driven or very witch driven. So I think that's kind of cool. Props to the writer, props to the actors. Everyone did an amazing job of really truly immersing you into a world that you would think that it genuinely exists, and maybe it does. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's witchcraft. Okay, so make sure you guys click subscribe. I know it's been a while, but you guys love our channel because we cover all these conventions and I do weird stuff like this. And of course, you know we have written Red Rouse, so make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you think about the story. If not, I will have Sabrina come after you because I will tell her I'm one of her favorite mortal friends. I'm just kidding, I'm kidding. I would never threaten you like that. Just click the button. And the bell's supposed to work. It actually will work because Sabrina will do this bell and just, it'll work. Bye-bye. Watch it.